I, like many people my age, spent a lot of time on YouTube watching Let's Plays growing up. Some of my favorite series were about people playing these obscure, unknown games that I'd never really heard of before. Sure, they didn't have the flair or long duration of more mainstream titles, but I think it was something special in that. The idea that games didn't have to be these massive titles that cost $60 to buy and 60 hours to enjoy completely. They were these self-contained, small experiences that let you go through everything in a day and just leave the whole experience fresh and cohesive in your mind. For me, the most notable of those games, and the most elusive, was Zineth. I remember it was one of NerdCube's 3 Free Game Fridays videos. An absolutely choice comfort series for me, by the way, even nowadays. This introduced me to many strange different games, but I was simply enamored by the style and speed of Zineth in particular. Not enough to play it at the time, evidently, but that imprint, that image of this cowboy wearing these large teal arms and legs just kept popping into my mind. And for the life of me, I could not remember the name of the game for the longest time, which made it very difficult to track it down later. I think a common sentiment for everyone who played this game is going on a string of different Google searches looking for cel-shaded cowboy skating game and multiple variations on that theme. But that should speak to just how iconic this game was in my own mind, that I remembered the loose concepts, elements, and style even after I'd forgotten the name. Zineth was developed by the game studio Arcane Kids, created as a college thesis project, which is just crazy to think about, right? Something of this quality created as part of a college project? Arcane Kids made several other games in addition to Zineth, but I think those, as well as the studio themselves, deserve a whole video to themselves, breaking everything down further. So yeah, I look forward to talking about this award-winning internet gang based in LA in further detail. You know, I wonder if these are the guys that went after Markiplier. Zineth itself is described as being a student game made over a few months to celebrate speed, movement, and Twitter. And yeah, that tracks pretty well. One of the co-creators cited that a big inspiration for this game was Jet Set Radio, and I mean, that should be pretty apparent by the gameplay. The stylized, cel-shaded visuals look great. The music also fits really well with the theme. Sure, it's not energizing, funky music like Jet Set Radio, but the futuristic and energetic synthy style of this music give it a otherworldly quality that really matches with the visual style of the rest of the game, with this weird mech-suited cowboy skating through sand dunes and obscure cityscapes. Oh yeah, and it's free! Did I say that yet? Yeah, you can literally just go on Arcane Kids' website and download it. It came out in 2012, so you could run this on literally anything. As for general gameplay, everything here is super slick. You control this guy with a super fancy robot suit, and it's got everything you need. Jumping, skating, wall riding. What else could you possibly want? Well, maybe some shoes. You mash A to accelerate, but that only gets you going at a certain speed. You actually have to use wall riding and grinding to go any faster, with the max speed you can actually attain having no cap. So if you're able to chain together wall rides and grinds, you could actually get going to infinite speed, which was demonstrated in one of the game's later areas. You can also manually increase your character's weight with a button press. This lets you both accelerate down hills and adjust your trajectory in the middle of a jump, which is super handy with some of the later jumps this game wants you to pull off. Speaking of, if you biff one of those important jumps all the way above the city skyline, you have the ability to rewind time back a ways to change your angle of approach, which helps so much to minimize backtracking. You also leave these pink contrails behind, which let you see your previous trajectories when you rewind, so as to help gauge your momentum on different attempts. You've also got a cell phone, which lets you access your missions, messages, and pretty much everything else you'd find in the game's menu. It's always on your screen, and you can open it up with a single button. And the controls for navigating the phone are actually completely separate from the ones you move with, so you could theoretically multitask and do both at once, although I wouldn't recommend it. The phone also has some mini-games, like a monster training and battling game that it's a fun distraction, but surely won't come up at all later. You can also access this strange in-universe social media application called Twitter. But yeah, the infrastructure for that is long since dead. So as much as I would like to tweet exclusively from a 2012 indie game, that ship has long since sailed. But enough nerd shit. You've got some work to do. In this game, you are a delivery boy, and your boss wants you to get out there and start delivering Zines to the people of the city. Get it? Zine, Zineth, the shorthand for magazine. Is it Zenith? Is it Zine? Fuck it. Regardless, you are delivering Zines to people who have become so addicted to a popular app that they have forgotten the outside world around them. Yeah, I guess that does look more like a dystopian billboard now that I take a better look at it. I don't see how people could just remove themselves from society over a game, though. I mean, what's the point? It's just a game where you fight enemies over and over again just to make a tiny little number go up. I mean, who sees the appeal in something like that? The game space includes a large city and the vast desert surrounding it. This provides a fun contrast between the tight, deliberate routes put into the many different corridors and streets of the city, and then the wide open dunes that let you just freely send it off jumps and down hills. The game also has several time trial courses that you can see in your phone that help you test your skating skills. This game also doesn't employ any invisible walls or anything, so if you see a flat area of sand out there in the distance, you can go there. What? Oh god, oh my fuck, shit, he's on me. Help, no! But yeah, a hawk will pick you up and take you to its nest if you go out of bounds. About 20 minutes into your quest of delivering Zines though, your boss will tell you that you're done with that and then command you to go to the moon. Which, honestly, bit of a non sequitur, but it does sound really awesome, so I'm cool with it. The only problem is, how are you gonna get to the moon? It's all the way up there, and you're all the way down here. Warning, the following section of this video contains spoilers for how to get to the moon. I strongly recommend figuring it out for yourself, as it is fun and will make you feel very smart. You see, the key to it all, making it to the moon and winning everything, it's that monster in your phone. Yeah, that's right, your guy, your little scrimblow, responsible for the downfall of society, he's the key to making it all happen. You know how? You're gonna make him fight the hawk. Yeah, that's right. When you get picked up from a hawk for going oob, that's gamer talk for going out of bounds, by the way. You can whip out your phone and challenge it to a monster battle. This actually has a time limit because it'll end when you reach the hawk's nest, so you can either do one of two things. Either grind your monster out to make it really strong so you can defeat the hawk quickly, or use your movement skills to launch yourself into that desert so it takes the hawk longer to get back to its nest. Which I think is just a really cool way of having two different options to kind of solve the same issue. Upon beating the hawk and asserting your dominance, you gain full control over it, and then can use it to gain access to the municipal space launcher, as hinted by the very, very subtle graffiti on the side. After this, there's nothing for it but to hop on the rail inside and accelerate at massive speeds before being launched directly into the sky and onto the surface of the moon. And that's it! Once you reach the moon, you unlock the game's speed debug tool, which basically makes you a god who can flaunt the principles of physics by just creating energy from nowhere and pulling 200 speed out of your ass with a single button press. And this basically lets you go anywhere in the game and is required to escape the moon's orbit, but it does pretty much trivialize any other challenge that might exist in the game for you. After that, there's not much else to do. You can finish all the quests and absolutely juice up your little game pet, but there's not anything beyond that. Wait a minute, what is that? Overall, this game left me with a lot of thoughts, which I think is impressive when other, much longer and more expensive games couldn't do the same. This game was made by college students while they were attending classes and is able to cohesively stick all of its mechanics together into a cohesive run of gameplay while providing a decent challenge and creating a memorable setting that sticks with the player. Meanwhile, AAA games that charge the player $70 stumble over themselves with mechanics that have been repeated for years and they still get passes for that kind of stuff. This whole excursion also made me think about game preservation, right? Because without Arcane Kids' website still being up, forget being able to easily access this, I wouldn't have been able to find this game at all. I can't fathom how many projects just like this one have or will become inaccessible over time as sites stop being maintained, software becomes incompatible, and people move on. So for these reasons, I am not asking, but rather demanding that you, yes, you, go play Zineth right now. It's free and came out in 2012, so it'll run on anything. I'll leave a link to the download page at the top of my description, so just go and play it, because I think you'd like it a lot. Alright, that's all.